After e4, c5, knight f3, and e6, knight to c3, what happens after the immediate queen to c7? Okay, white immediately strikes the center with d4, and after take, white doesn't take back but rather plays knight to b5. The reason why we needed to give the d pawn before playing knight to b5 with the usual threats attacking the dark squares near on the queen side is to get both the protection of this bishop, yes, but also the possibility to play bishop to d2 in order to potentially counterattack the queen in case of check. So after knight to b5, the queen has to respond. Queen going to b6, white goes on to take the pawn, and white is already better, so there's no reason for black to go into this kind of game. Let's pay attention to the fact that bishop to c5 to put double attack on the queen and try to develop the pieces for black doesn't work because queen to g7 and it's already game over. The rook is trapped. So after queen takes, white now takes back, and a6 is not possible because of knight c7. So after knight to a6, it looks like black can hold things, but no, because of bishop to f4. We're threatening here to play knight to d6, bishop takes, and after bishop takes, black will have serious problems trying to castle because knight e7, in order for him to castle, then well, he won't be able to castle because then you could take the knight. He will not be defended because the other knight couldn't go to the natural c6 square where he will defend the knight in e7. So black couldn't develop the knight in e7. He couldn't do it from h6 either because then he wouldn't be able to castle because the king can't castle through check. And here d6 just loses a pawn, right? So after d5, for instance, you just take, and now you go for it. Knight d6 check, and well, take will allow us to play the endgame with the bishop pair against an isolated pawn, so position is evaluated as if white was almost up like a piece. So yeah, that's amazing to continue. If instead black plays king to d7, for example, then knight f7 traps the rook, king d8 same thing, king e7 instead, white now takes the knight surprisingly, so gives up the bishop pair to the opponent, but after takes, now white goes on with long castle and is ready to get both rooks to join the game. Black has developed basically nothing in the game, and after best moves like knight to f6, trying to develop rook h to e1, all white pieces are playing. After bishop blocks, looks like black is developed, but still knight to f7. We're attacking the rook. We're also putting double attack on the bishop. The bishop can't take, so if king takes, we have double attack on this bishop anyway, so we're going to recapture the bishop pair. Black still has an isolated pawn, double pawn on the a file, and he's a pawn down anyway. So in this position, after okay, let's make a recap. Yeah, queen c7 immediate, d4, and after pawn takes, knight to b5. What happens after the queen going back to d8? It's not like she could go anywhere else on the diagonal anyway. And any other move will allow us to just play queen to d4 anyway. This queen c7 move is just stupid. So let's go to queen to d8. Well, same type of move, bishop to f4. And now it looks like d6 holds everything together. And black will eventually play a6 and knight c6 and normal moves. So it looks like this might be the most solid variation, but the problem is that black wasted the tempo. White goes on with queen to d4 now, and black can't develop the bishop in e7 without risking too much. After knight to f6, also because we have triple attack on d6, so a move like a6 is just a waste of tempo. So after knight to f6, oh, and by the way, let's mention that e5 here is not possible, right? We just took the pawn in d4 with the queen, and black playing e5 is not possible because you can take it with the knight. You're winning the pawn. Pawn takes back, then queen takes with check. And now, no matter what, well, obviously blocking with the queen will allow knight c7 to be available because the queen will be pinned. Blocking with the bishop instead, well, this actually, here the best move actually still is knight to c7 anyway. And after king f8, yeah, just take the rook, you have upper rook. So one more recap, and yeah, knight c3, queen c7 immediately in d4, pawn takes, and knight to b5, queen d8, and bishop f4. And so d6 we mentioned we need to take the pawn in d4. And after knight f6, white will go on to long castle, and now knight to c6. Now you might argue, what if knight to c6 comes first? Also because, yeah, it looks very natural. So let's say knight c6 comes before castling, before white gets the castle. Well, now you're forced to take, and after bishop takes, queen takes, you're up a pawn, and you've got the bishop pair and a majority on the queen side. So in this position, knight f6, long castle, and knight c6 is met by the most accurate move, queen to a4. The idea now is that we're leaving the rook under the same file of the opponent queen. A move like bishop to d7 now cannot be played because you will just play bishop to d6. That's the best move. Threatening knight c7, and yeah, bishop taking will allow you to play knight to d6 with devastating consequences. So what happens after d5? We'll look at this line and then that will do for this video. Here you just take, and after knight takes back, it looks like, you know, you're attacking the bishop. Yeah, you're gonna have to remove the queen first, but after queen, maybe queen to f6, the black player might start breathing. Here you go on with the knight to c7 check. Knight takes means you're gonna take the queen. Queen takes means you can take the queen. So after king to e7, this is already so compromised. Bishop to b5 is the strongest move. The computer is so evil. Yes, he knows he can take the rook, but he also knows that you can do it later. Now here bishop d7 is not possible because queen a3 is deadly. You can tell why this is so strong, like the king can't go to e8 either. Going to f6 means he runs into bishop g5. Blocking with the knight means you can just swap one of the knights and then take the other one. Or simply the knight will be pinned so you can play c3 as well. Anyway, here after a6, a simple best move is bishop takes, pawn takes, and then queen takes with a million threats.